So whenever I was a kid, I didn't grow up, in a wealthy family or anything like that. But I always just dreamed to have more, aspire to be more, and that was just sort of innate. That was just something that I thought about as a kid. But it could have been, it could have been nurtured a little bit in the sense of like I was a huge hip hop music fan, and so a lot of hip hop in that era. I mean, I grew up, born in the 90s, but grew up on like 2000s music, hip hop. And, a lot of it was about money and things like that. And so that probably, that definitely put some sort of desire for money into my heart, into my mind. But I didn't really know exactly what that looked like as far as how to make money or whatever. Before I talk more about that and talk about money being a motivation for people, I do want to say my name is Ryan Holguin. This is the practical place where I like to talk about all things career growth related, career related. I really like to use this as a place to talk through ideas or things that I wish somebody would have talked through with me. And not just black and white prescriptive, really just commentary and provide insight and nuance to situations, because it's not a one size fits all, and that's what I learned along the way. And there's many options you can take in life, especially in your career, and it's never right or wrong necessarily. It might just be good, better, best sort of thing. So if any of that interests you, I would encourage you to subscribe here, join the 355 plus people here that have joined the journey, which I really appreciate. So yeah, talking about money being a motivation. So like when I was a kid, I always wanted to, it really was just being rich. I wanted to be rich because I didn't have a lot. You grow up, you go to high school, public school, and, your friends have the Letterman jacket. You don't get to buy the Letterman jacket. They get the yearbooks. You don't get the yearbooks. Small things like that, to where you start to see, man, I wish I had more money so that I could like just get whatever I wanted, go on trips, whatever. And since I was a kid, for a long time, money was my motivation. And I think that's a hip hop song, Money is My Motivation. And, that led me to wanting to be a rapper, just like the guys I would listen to. And, when I was 16 or so, me and a friend, we live in Texas, drove all the way to California with the hopes of becoming big time rappers. Didn't work out, but the goal was to become rappers because we liked rapping and we liked the music and we liked, the culture, but we never... But we really wanted to just make money. At least for me, that was my motivation. Like, wanted to be rich, wanted to be live a glamorous lifestyle, and that even carried into my career. In an organization in corporate America, if you will. Like when I was early on in my marriage, I would. I've been married nearly 11 years now, but I would, it was all about getting a better job. I dropped out of college when I got engaged, switched, degree plans to music production degree. Ended up graduating 3 years after that with music production degree. Didn't use it, but still, even early, you could see in that your early 20s, still desire to do hip hop, do music, and pursue that path because of what I felt it would bring me. Satisfaction through money, through wealth, through whatever, and I would obsess about it. But honestly, the crazy part is like that's really obvious to see in that culture, hip hop culture. People are all about money, whatever it might be, material things. But in the business world, in corporate America, I feel like that's a little bit more hidden for people. I don't want to use a blanket statement and say everybody's just money hungry, but I do think it does trap a lot of people, and values, personal convictions may go out the window. Now, I'm just sort of thinking out loud here and thinking about what I've seen or experienced or kind of observed in people. And even try to examine in my own mind and heart of like, what is my true motivation? And I remember a few years back, I was meeting with somebody and really asking the question of like, well, what is your motivation for working? What is truly your motivation for working? Like, if you say money, it might be money, sure. But like, how empty is that? Because if the actual goal of growth in your life is getting more money, then what you're actually saying is, on paper, that you're willing to do whatever it takes to get that money, right? So you can say it's family, but if it's really money, then you're willing to compromise family. You're willing to compromise values. You're willing to compromise whatever else, whatever values or priorities you have in your life to get that North Star goal, that core value, that core goal that you have, which is money. And I've had to think a lot about that in my career because it cannot, for me, it cannot be about money. Because if that is the case, I have a family that I need to provide for. And if my goal is money, then yeah, absolutely. I would take any job that's going to give me a raise or promotion. Whether that means I'm going to be with my family or if I'm going to be traveling, like I don't care because money is the goal, right? But if it's deeper than that, and what I've found for me is that it has to be deeper than that because that's where you find more satisfaction. I don't find my identity in work because I have faith and that's where I find my value. But beyond that, from an earthly perspective, from a worldly perspective, all the things that we have to deal with, money, paying bills, all that stuff, you find, at least for me, I found more purpose in having a deeper conviction for work and why I work. And it is my family for sure. It is my faith. I work believing that I serve, a God that is beautiful, values beauty, and so I work for that standard. So I want to do things that are excellent. I want to do things that are the best because I have a creator that created the best and creates the best, and so I want to reflect that as best I can. Now, from a career perspective, from an effort perspective, I do value just serving my neighbors, serving those around me, and using whatever skills that I've been able to grow in, that I have naturally, whether it's communication, whether it's project management, whether it's organization, using all those skills to benefit my neighbor, and then ultimately whatever industry I'm in to benefit society on a greater macro scale. So if I believe that my purpose for work is more than money, because with money, again, it's very empty. It's all about me. It's all about what I can do. It's all about what I can get from this. And I feel like I've seen people taking roles to me that seem very inconsistent with what I feel like their skill set is. But when you learn, it's all about the money. It's really all about this reputation they want to have. They want to be a leader. They want to be an exec. They want to be CEO. And it's all about climbing the corporate ladder. And along the way, you sort of lose who you are because the goal at the beginning, it's hard at the beginning to see because you haven't actually lost yourself yet. But in your mind, you're lost yourself because you're giving yourself over to this goal of money or reputation or status. And then when you get to that place, you actually realize that. And then it's very clear to everybody you've lost yourself. That's not who you were at the beginning. And I figured out that I don't want to be that type of person. That I want to be somebody that can be consistent with what I believe now or early on in my career, all the way to whatever that leads to. Right? If I become an exec, if whatever, right? If I'm able to be that great and I'm validated by given a role of authority or leadership or whatever, then great. But I want to be able to take a role because of what my convictions say that I can be. If it's not consistent with my convictions, deep convictions of serving my neighbor, of serving my family, providing for my family, being available for my family, all those things, then I'm not going to take it because that's going to cause me to compromise my values. And also, like if we have deeper convictions or values that we're working for that are just more meaningful than money, then I think collectively as a people, as a society, we're going to flourish a lot better than we would if everybody's money hungry, because that's going to lead to selfishness. That's going to lead to envy. That's going to lead to coveting what somebody else's has and living a life of jealousy or resentment or bitterness if you don't get it. Like there's been jobs that I haven't gotten, right, that I've interviewed for in my past that I could have absolutely let them fuel my resentment because it would have been a pay raise, and I resented that. But like, my goal wasn't the immediate pay raise. My goal is growth, progression, consistency with the life that I want to live. And if that job wasn't in that plan for my life, I have to be okay with that. That's not the card that I was dealt. And I have to be okay with that in my mind. And I have to take whatever lessons from that experience I can into whatever my next interview is going to look like, or into my next day even. Just learn and grow. Hey, I wasn't a fit for that role. They didn't see me fit. It's all good. That's good. I trust that they're going to make the best choice. And even if they don't, it is what it is. There's nothing I can do about that. But if I'm living for money, then everything that I see through the world is going to be about how can I get more of it. And that's going to lead me to devalue people, in my opinion. It's going to lead me to devalue the work that I'm doing because it's only a means to an end, and the end is to get more money. But if my goal in and of itself is to serve my neighbor, shoot, I can do that anywhere. I can be an individual contributor the rest of my career, but it's going to give me the opportunity to serve my neighbor in whatever capacity that looks like, right? It's not going to be on a grand scale. I know we live in a day and age where we all want to have like this huge imprint on life, but like it's okay to live an ordinary life, and in my opinion, to live an ordinary life and serve those around you and nobody else sees it. That's totally good. To me, that seems like a fulfilling life, to be honest. Because I've also learned too, as you really master your craft, as you really value the work that you're doing, you believe in it, you're serving your neighbor, you're doing those things. I mean, all that other stuff, money, that's going to come, honestly. Like, and then there's questions about how you budget your money, where your priorities are. What are you spending your money on? Are you going into debt? Are you not? There's so many factors to money and whatever wealth looks like and means to people than just like making more. I know that in and of itself comes with like status and reputation. And so that's kind of what people desire as well, is like that power and that feeling of like fame and like popularity and whatever. You know, I've gotten to a point where I don't really care for those things, to be honest. I want the work that I do to speak for itself. I want people to value that. I want people to be served well by that. If I'm not doing that, if I start to become selfish and it's all about me, then I think I'm really doing a disservice to myself, to my family, and to the people that I work with. So I don't know. Let me know your thoughts about motivation. Why are we working, and what are some of your motivations? Is it money? I'm not here to condemn anybody that is valuing money as their end goal. I would just sit here and ask the question, like, is it really money though? Or is it the thing that money brings you, or you perceive that it's going to bring you? Because with me, I've started to focus less on the money and more on the work itself, and more on who I want to be and the growth that I want to have. And that will naturally just create a path for me that maybe brings money with it. Naturally, I think it will, but like that's not the end goal for me. So I'm not worried about the money. I'm not stressed about the money. So anyways, that's sort of my perspective. Let me know your thoughts. Are you somebody that struggles with that? Are you trying to find your purpose? Are you trying to find your motivation, your why? I think I think it's just about defining that, or really articulating that is kind of the challenge for a lot of people. It is for me, and it was for me for a while. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Start a dialogue in the comments. If you found this video insightful, helpful, fruitful in any capacity, I would encourage you to like it. Again, subscribe here if you are not subscribed. I like to use this as some sort of video diary, if you will, where I can just think out loud. And talk about things that I really enjoy. So yeah, subscribe here. Again, as I said, my name is Ryan Holguin. This is The Practical Place. I will see you in the next video.